Azzy. I work at the Planning and Development Office of Tacloban City. As the primary development coordinating body of the LGU, we are mandated with developing plans and programs, conducting research and monitoring special projects in support of the long-term vision of a globally competitive, green and resilient city, propelled by God-loving, gender-responsive leaders and empowered citizenry.
Hi, I'm Nick Freddy Arbelio, currently serving at Visayas State University as the OIC head of the accounting office. To help my agency's vision of being a globally competitive university for science, technology, and environmental conservation, I oversee the operation of the accounting office in controlling the expenditure of the university and providing relevant financial reports to its intended users.
My name is Adrian Cagayan and currently connected in Energy Development Corporation or EDC, one of the clean energy geothermal power plant that was located in Ormoc City. Currently, I was assigned in maintenance department under the instrumentation group. Primary function is to ensure the timely execution of our preventive maintenance schedule. And second is to attain 100% response rate in all corrective works or any emergency works that may occur that needs immediate restoration. Our vision is we will become the global leader in geothermal energy as we strengthen our leadership in Philippine renewable energy industry. Thank you.
Good day, I am Walter Mark C. Cantero, currently working in Overseas Workers Welfare Administration Regional Welfare Office 8. My role in office is to protect and to promote the welfare of the overseas Filipino clients and its families.
As is typical of an LG, our actions are based on national frameworks. The Comprehensive Land Use Plan is the mother of all plans, applicable not only for our office, but for the entire city government. The current CLUP has been implemented since 2018, and it carves the growth direction until 2025. Medium-term plans, such as the Comprehensive Development Plan, the Executive Legislative Agenda, and short-term targeting through the IPCR and RUP are also utilized. Because our office is the primary enforcer of the CLUP through the zoning ordinance, relevant employees refer to a process flow, as outlined in the Citizens Charter, to guide decision-making. Criteria for approval and denial of requests are predetermined based on the impact of a proposed project on the environment, economy, and future development. Frontline personnel assess and recommend decisions while the department head gives official approval. This system is applied similarly to all functions, such as routing communications and preparing evaluation and monitoring reports. Transactions are also governed by the ARTA and the Ease of Doing Business Act, among other civil service rules.
With regard to university-wide planning and decision-making, the top management, or what we call the University Administrative Council, is in charge of doing that. The council is composed of the president, vice presidents, deans, and heads of various units. In order to answer the question more clearly, let me use an actual non-program decision we recently made. It was already evident that the number of COVID positive cases has drastically increased. With that, the university president recognized that a decision was really needed, and so a council meeting was conducted for the said concern. During the council meeting, data were presented showing the statistics of COVID positive in the university. Well, after that, alternatives were suggested to mitigate the increasing number of COVID cases. Example of the alternatives were, first, to stay as it is with observance of health protocols. Second is to have a skeletal workforce. And third, to have a complete lockdown of the university for a week or two. Each alternative was analyzed thoroughly. Critical thinking was applied, and a healthy exchange of ideas through group discussion was conducted to eliminate the barriers of decision-making, such as bounded rationality and personal biases. After the long discussion, a proposal was raised to select the alternative we assess to be the most beneficial. That is, the skeletal workforce, like every office, should be occupied by at most 50% of the total workforce every day. It was seconded without any objection. Hence, we decided to choose that alternative. Well, during the implementation of the decision we made, it was observed that the COVID-19 cases were still increasing. Hence, we evaluated the situation and made a revision to the original alternative we chose. So currently, we are still on a skeletal workforce, but now the employees in all offices are grouped into two. Well, the first group will physical work in the office for a week, while the other group will work from home, and then vice versa in the following week.
Planning and decision making in our organization includes the daily huddle, or previously before pandemic, we call it stand-up meeting. Every day, we have this virtual meeting that lasts for about an hour. In our daily huddle, specific activity on that day are discussed, as well as the concern and challenges encountered. And from there, we will discuss or do some planning on how to address certain issues. Decision making includes program and non-program decisions. Like in our organization, we have this maintenance schedule already plotted for a whole year activity. To carry out on this, it requires a program decision on what to do, when to do, and how to do, since it is on a frequent basis. On the other hand, there are also some instances that requires non-program decision. That is when we have an emergency works. This requires a more thorough investigation and need a lot of information to come up with the best alternative.
Give you an overview of how our agency plan and what are its strengths and weaknesses, including some of the recommendations, I asked a help from one of my colleagues in the office. Please watch.
Overseas Workers Welfare Administration is a national government agency that protects the rights and welfare of our overseas Filipino workers. We are a membership institution and an attached agency of Department of Labor and Employment. Our agency is vested with the function of developing and implementing programs and services in response to the needs of these OFWs and their families. In our organization or in our office, at the regional level, we have these two divisions, which are the programs and services division and the admin and finance. So before we came up with a decision, we have first a meeting, or we have a meetings or regular meetings, especially if there are issues arise and it needs immediate solutions. And our bosses or the leaders in our organization, they make sure that everyone in the organization, especially the lower level of the management, is involved in decision making.
The set processes and parameters for rendering decisions ensure that we are compliant to ARTA and Ease of Doing Business Act. As such, we are able to facilitate timely resolution of requests. However, human factors such as leniency and familiarity with clients still affect the office and hinders impartial decision making. On a macro perspective, the necessity for executive and legislative actions, from planning to implementation, subject daily operations to much politics. Nonetheless, this is understandable because local officials are the ones directly accountable to the people, and the decisions that they make should be in line with the pulse of the public.
For the strengths, I think one of them is the brainstorming of the decision-making body, which is composed of members with sufficient technical background, managerial skills, and expertise already proven and tested by time. Another is the evidence-based decision-making, Like before something is being discussed in a meeting, it will be deliberated first by a committee, hence, supports and evidence are gathered and prepared for a more informed decision. For the weakness, I think maybe the concept of groupthink, or the situation wherein some members will choose not to share their thoughts or objections anymore because they are already complacent with the decision of the majority, or they would like to avoid being antagonized by the others.
The daily huddle is very helpful in the organization since it will identify problems, issues, or any concern pertaining to risk involving at work. It will also strengthen or help us realign to the company's goal and direction. But sometimes due to certain limitations caused by this pandemic, there are miscommunication encountered due to slow internet connection or low cell phone signal.
I think the strengths of our organization are we have a strong employee attitude, excellent customer service, and we have a high efficiency rate, and we have a healthy working environment because everyone in the office are good vibes. And I think the weaknesses of our organization, this is just my observation. First, I observed that there are some employees who are unmotivated to work. Second, our organization has its low promotion rate because there are some employees who work for like 6 to 10 years, but until now they are still job order. And third, sometimes or I observe that there are some employees who has its low self-esteem and self-confidence.
Systems are already in place to guarantee that long-term strategies are translated to short-term action plans. National frameworks also adequately provide rules, regulations, and performance standards when rendering decisions. Still, more training and handling transactions should be imparted to personnel, especially to those dealing with outside clients. More autonomy should also be placed on career officials and managers so that planning and decision making is not stagnated in view of politics.
I recommend to continue doing the best practices already observed to arrive at good decisions. Like first, to follow the steps of the decision making always, not to skip any steps. Another is to think outside the box and be creative in generating alternatives. Utilize a variety of other techniques. And lastly is to always and continue using the evidence-based decision making, like doing research and collecting evidence and data so that we can arrive to a more meaningful and informed decisions.
My recommendation is to improve the quality of the communication, like internet signal and cell phone signal. And the company must conduct frequent survey to provide employees a sort of window for feedback and for future improvement. Thank you.
So, my recommendation for my organization is that first, our organization should have a reward system that every time an employee that has a good accomplishments for the organization, the our agency should give a reward or recognition for that particular employee in order for him or her to get motivated to work. And second, the leaders of our organization should go down to the lower level of the organization in order for them to understand the situation of their employees. And third, um the top management should have a plans or to give security for this employees who work for too long or for how many years, because it promotes a strong workforce in order to help the agency achieve its goals and objectives. And lastly, the agency should have or should enable and empower these employees through trainings or through different trainings.